Recently, many people have been starting to wonder if the FTO should be added to the World Cube Association and become its 18th event. So what is an FTO and what's so good about it? FTO, or face-turning octahedron, is an 8-sided twisty puzzle with 3 layers like a 3x3. It is one of the 5 platonic solids, 3 of which are already in the WCA, 3x3, pyraminx, and megaminx. When this puzzle started to gain popularity, a lot of people got the Lan FTO, which is slow and has pretty bad turning. So what did people do? People took the Chi Super Ivy Cube, aka the Rex Cube, and replaced the outer caps with 3D printed ones to change the shape into an octahedron. But not everyone has a 3D printer, and the Rex TOs being sold were kind of expensive. So not very many people were speed solving FTO. But this all changed when Dianxing, a speed cube manufacturer, announced a new fully magnetic FTO. This cube is really fast compared to the Rex TO, and it encouraged so many more people to get into FTO. I myself didn't practice that often before, but once I got the Dianxing, I was able to get my average from over a minute to under 40 seconds. There was a bit of a problem, which was the popping, but it was still a great start. After this, even more FTOs came out, from Dian, which I personally main, and Chi. Now that there's a viable option for speed solving, why should it be added to the WCA? The World Cube Association has 17 events. The 6 N by Ns, 3x3 one-handed, 4 blindfolded events, FMC, Skube, Squan, Clock, Pyraminx, and Megaminx. While most of these events are popular and competitive, some returning competitors might start to get bored of them. Along with this, some events like FMC are getting to the point of records being impossible to beat, and cheating is something that is very easy to do. Another example of this is 2x2, where people have started doing something called OO, or objectively optimal. They're trying to find the most optimal solution for every single scramble. It's becoming a solved event. Also sliding, but that's hopefully done now. These aren't the only events where it's becoming almost impossible to beat the world record. 3x3 is being absolutely dominated by Yihing, 4x4 by Max, and more. Soon people are going to want something new. A new event that isn't too easy, but is still fun to solve. This is where FTO comes in. This puzzle is similar to a 3x3 Rubik's Cube because they are both face-turning puzzles with 3 layers, but after that, they are very different. FTO has these pieces called triangles, kind of like centers on big cubes. It is also solved in a similar method to 4x4, but the turns are definitely not the same. The biggest difference between FTO and all the N by Ns is that it has something called orbits. Having orbits means that you will never see a white piece on the purple side, or vice versa. This also means that you can't get flipped edges, and corners can only be twisted 180 degrees, which makes for an interesting and fun solution. FTO perfectly fits in the spot between the cube and Megaminx, and it's challenging enough that it wouldn't be redundant. There's no way the FTO would ever be added as an official event unless there are enough people solving it. And there definitely is. There's a Discord server with over 1,000 people in it now, with people giving tips and tricks and celebrating each other's times. There are also multiple methods that people have come up with, like Cage and Nautilus, but the most commonly used one is Ben Cisco, invented by Ben Streeter, aka Ben Puzzles. There are many great tutorials, but I would highly recommend his or Chris Troy's, which are both linked in the description. The method works like this. Solve the white center with 3 edges and triangles. Solve 2 triples to make something that looks like a roux block. Solve the last 3 centers. Solve the last bottom triple. And finally, pair and solve the final 3 triples. If this method feels familiar, that's because it's very similar to Yao on big cubes, and if you know that, it's not too hard to learn. And there's no parity. There are also plenty of resources for getting faster, such as extra algorithms or walkthrough solves. And people must practice a lot, because people have gotten sub 10-second solves on this thing. As someone who has been going to competitions for over 2 years, I've tried all of the WCA events and think that most of them are really fun. However, on many of them I haven't really been improving, and I imagine that many people, especially people who have been cubing for 4 or 5 years, want to see something new. The WCA actually had a forum asking people if they wanted new events added, but this was way before the Dianxing FTO had been released, and there was less interest in it. Other than FTO, there are a few other candidates, such as Mirrorcube, Corner Helicopter 2x2, and Killminx, or Kibiminx. However, they all have their flaws. Mirrorcube is just a shape mod of a 3x3, CH2 is just a 2x2 with extra pieces, and Killminx is just a smaller Megaminx. I'm not saying these are bad or aren't fun, I enjoy solving these a lot, but they don't have as much potential as FTO. Now, if FTO were to be added, there would probably need to be some changes made to it. The biggest one would be the name. Megaminx isn't called face-turning dodecahedron, and Pyraminx gets its own name too. So what if we put FTO in this lineup with the name Octominx? Originally, this is the name of a puzzle from Tony Fisher, but he has given permission for this change to happen. I doubt that this will become a WCA event very soon. However, I predict that it might be added at the start of 2026. I say this because I think it has to be added after Worlds, and it might even be announced then. Alright, that's about it for me. If you want to get your hands on one of these and join the community, there are links in the description to buy it. This is my first time making a video like this, so if you enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button. I put a lot of work into making this, and if there's anything I missed, something you disagree with, or just something you found interesting, you can leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.